Trimble's very uniquely positioned to answer a lot of these challenges that we have around how do we maintain and renovate our existing built environment, which is becoming increasingly topical for most industrialized countries.
We take this notion of physical, and we have to understand that in terms of digital.
Yeah.
How do we do that? We do that through the collection of data, the processing of the data. Something that you've always said, and I quote all the time, is this notion of how Trimble has done a really good job of building sensors and tools to produce data for customers, but we haven't done a really good job of building tools to help them understand it or sort through that data. And again, this is where we're in this fantastic era of AI. We can even touch on the cybersecurity a little bit here, because the data is that important. We want to make sure that the data stays accessible to the customers that need it, but not accessible to the customers who may want to exploit it.
You know, the construction industry, we always talk about our lack of productivity, and we talk about how backwards we can sometimes be. But really, for us to push forward as an industry, we need to move towards data-driven decision making. And you can only move towards data-driven decision making when you have the data.
To make the actionable decisions in real time.
Yeah.
Because if I'm making a decision on data that's a week old, that's not going to be, that's a random decision.
Yeah, it's true. You won't have the confidence on the data in that case.
This is true.
And it's interesting because in many ways, we've become these orchestrators of these data flows, right? Where you can have a robot with a scanner capturing data here, or you can have an inspector with an application on their phone capturing data here, or a mobile mapping device, somebody driving a mobile mapping device on the roads. And what we're essentially trying to do to fully understand the construction site or the built environment more broadly is stitch these different data flows together, process those different data flows, and then make our actions based on that.
But it allows us, again, to be more reactive to things that just pop up, which always happens during construction projects, right? Things are always popping up, the unexpected, always a thing.
Exactly.
So again, making
data-driven
decisions across these things that just pop up.
Yeah.
That's a natural fit for Trimble.
Construction supervisors oftentimes describe their jobs as constantly running fire drills, because while you can try to plan ahead, there's always going to be those surprises, right? Your materials are going to be delivered late, you tear down that wall and you discover something that you really weren't expecting. And in that sense, for us to, of course, we always try to do as good of a job planning ahead as we can, but to be able to then adjust to that, capture that data, process that data, and then revise our plans based on that is incredibly critical to make the job of a construction supervisor not somebody who's running a fire drill, but somebody who has a little bit more of a proactive view to the site.
And that's one of the areas I love about your team is the AI focus, and being able to build tools that will help Trimble and Trimble customers be able to be a little more predictive.
Something interesting is kind of the movement of data from the office to the field and back to the office, and kind of the interplay of this, right? So there's this kind of constant ping pong between the data coming from the field to the office to the field, and so forth. And that's a really exciting part, I think, about the data flow here.
Especially when we start talking about the retrofit stuff that I know you guys are working on, where we still have this design, build, operate flow. Exactly, but now it's more in a sustainable way.
Yeah. If we look at the building stock in Europe, we do estimate that as many as 75 to 80% of the buildings that will be in use in 2050 already exist. So that means, a massive part of our construction sector is looking at existing buildings, is looking at retrofit workflows, and is looking at how to do that more effectively. And this is where a lot of the physical world data capture feeds, not only design, but it feeds areas such as offsite manufacturing and prefabrication of building components to complete these retrofit actions.
It goes back to what you always say. We've done a fantastic job of creating the data and helping the customers create the data.
Yeah.
And that by itself is good, but that barrier to change is manipulating that data in a usable way.
I think a challenge that we've had with a lot of construction technology is that there's still been quite a steep learning curve to take that into use. So whether it's modeling software, or whether it's these laser scanners, or whether it's your ERP systems, there's always been a learning curve. And what's interesting about some of these more recent AI developments with large language models and these chat interfaces and so forth is that we're perhaps getting to an age where there's less of a learning curve, so these tools and technologies are more accessible without long-winded training.
Yeah, it does. It really creates that pull rather than pull through efficiency rather than push into just technology use.
Yeah. It is encouraging to me that you can start stacking your technology, not only Trimble technology, but also our partners' technology and our competitors' technology as well. But you can start kind of stacking this technology together better. And we of course have our commitments to interoperability and so forth as well. So you can look at your operations and you can look at your workflows and try to identify these bite-sized problems to solve if you don't want to revamp everything at once.
And as long as the tools are working together, as we in Trimble are working to do, it becomes easier and easier, less friction, and an overall win for the customer.
Not only connecting the physical and the digital that we often talk about, but also within the tool ecosystem, connecting these different tools, connecting the data, connecting across those workflows. The artificial intelligence will be an answer to the issues of scale that we've encountered, right? The issues of having these large volumes of data and needing to process that very quickly. But anytime we do and try to do anything at scale, we have to be very thoughtful about it, right? Because mistakes also compound.
What's interesting about AI, in a sense of double-edged sword, it's an enabler.
Yeah.
Right? It allows us to do so many more things with our data.
Yep.
But it's also an enabler for bad actors.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have this notion of being able to achieve this incredible velocity with the AI tools and the data that we're throwing at it. But it's the bad actors out in the world who want to interfere.
Exactly.
Right? They have access to the same tools.
Which I think brings up the point of, as we're designing our systems and our ecosystems, resiliency is really at the heart of what we're looking to do as well, right?
I love the word resiliency in that context.
Wow. Being thoughtful about how we design our systems, how we design our technology, and designing for resiliency in the first place.
Again, keeping our customers' data for the customer.
Absolutely.
Not to have it leaking out everywhere.
Absolutely.
Understanding the true value of what that data is.
Yeah, and cybersecurity is as much as it's top of mind for us, it's top of mind for every technology provider in the world. So only really by pooling our resources and making sure that together we address this topic.
It's a have to have, not a nice to have.
That is very true.